Welcome to another exciting and elucidating episode of the Omni Talk Ask an Expert series. I'm your host, Chris Walton.
And I'm Mezzenga.
And we're the founders of Omni Talk, the fast-growing retail media outlet that is all about the companies, the technologies, and the people that are coming together to shape the future of retail. Or as we like to say, Anne, the retail media company that focuses on tomorrow today. Now, joining us today is a woman that I am proud to call a friend, Anne.
Oh,
yeah. I'm very proud, actually. She's my former colleague at Target, both of our former colleagues at Target, actually.
yes.
And now she's the head of industry for retail and grocery at Meta. Please welcome Alicia LeBeouf. Alicia, welcome to Omni Talk.
Hey, thank you, guys. So good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. What's it like to make your first appearance on Omni Talk? You excited?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, this is such a full circle moment for me.
It is.
I was trying to think, Chris, about, I think I first met you when I was 25.
Yep.
New to Target.
Yep.
And I just remember you being, such a good friend, mentor. We had a lot of great conversations. And so I am so excited to be on this podcast with you and Anne. And so excited that our worlds have come back together to talk about all things retail.
Yeah. We first met on a light rail, Anne, believe it or not. I think we were headed to an AIDS walk on a Sunday.
Oh my
and
gosh.
She was just there and I was there. I had a red shirt on. She had a red shirt on. We were the only people on the light rail station. It was like 7:30 in the morning and we just started talking to each other.
Around then?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Downtown Minneapolis.
Man,
yeah.
crazy.
So that's how it all started.
Yes. And then we pivoted those to conversations at the Starbucks in the Skyway.
Yes.
At the Target store.
Yep.
And I'll never forget our last one where I was trying to decide if I should go run stores. Do you remember this conversation? And I know you had went and ran stores for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were weighing the pros and cons. And ultimately I did one of the best decisions I ever made, but it was good times. Target, one of my favorite retailers. So it's good to see us all back together again.
Yeah. So I gave you good advice then, I take it.
You gave me great advice.
Good to know. Good
That's
to know.
good.
Everyone watching, please take note of that.
Yes. Yes. Noted.
It worked out. It worked out. Yeah, it worked out.
Well, for everyone listening, also, before we get into our discussion with Alicia, just a reminder that you can ask for advice in the chat next to us here. If you're listening though live on LinkedIn, you can ask questions of anyone of Alicia, the Meta team. Just type them right into the chat where we've got the conversation going already. But Alicia, we got to know a little bit about you, and Chris mentioned that you guys have worked at Target, but tell us a little about your career journey kind of after running stores and what led to your current role at Meta.
Yeah, great. So spent 10 years at Target, and that's where I would say got my retail foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Had a variety of roles in procurement and community and in operations and went to run stores. And that's what I think, kind of cemented this appetite for me in terms of like really wanting to get to know the consumer and just having this, this curiosity about all things retail. So did that. And then I actually went to go lead marketing and merchandising for a B2B company called Canteen, which is the largest vending and micro market company in the country. So at that time, I was basically doing planograms for vending machines and micro markets and also trying to figure out what unattended retail looks like. So think micro markets in airports or micro markets that you might, use at at your company if you want a snack during the break. So did that for a while and then came over to Meta almost 2 years ago, which is crazy. I can't believe it's been, I know it's been almost 2 years. So I lead a team of people that work with the largest retailers and grocers in the country around the future of shopping. So a lot of that is digital marketing, how they show up on our platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And a lot of that is also thinking about the future of discovery commerce, and how our platforms can help enable a better consumer experience for their guests. So we work with all the major brands. I have a team that is based across the country, and I basically help support them. And it's been a great ride since.
Nice. I love how you guys said discovery commerce. Actually, I'm giving a speech next week, and that's pretty much the crux of my main point right in the first 20 minutes of the speech is that whole concept, which I'd love to get into with you today as much as possible. So let's start there. I mean, you mentioned grocery, and that's going to be our focus today. And we're going to particularly look at grocery through the lens of the customer's mobile device specifically. So to put you on the spot, Alicia, I have a purposefully open-ended question here.
Okay.
And the question is this: How important is mobile in today's grocery shopping experience, and why?
I would say it is a necessity. So let's just talk about some of the facts. So before the pandemic started, we saw a 32% increase in e-commerce and online sales.
Right.
Because people couldn't go in the store. You kind of keep going from that. There's studies that show 2 out of 3 consumers say that their mobile device is the most important device when it comes to shopping. Then you keep going, and there's also another study that says that 50% of consumers say that they discover new brands, grocery brands, beverages, and food from their mobile device.
50%.
And so 50%, and it's
Okay.
even higher for Gen Z. For Gen Z, it's
Right.
about 71%.
Wow. Okay.
So if you're a CPG company, if you're a food company, and you want people to get to know your brand or company, you're doing that on your mobile device. You're doing that through discovery commerce, through social media. And so that right there just kind of shows you how I think mobile has accelerated and transformed the shopping experience. The other thing I'd say is that it's no longer people start the shopping experience maybe on their couch. They're like, oh, I need some chips, or, I'm out of bottled water or whatever. They may say, okay, let me order it now. They may say, let me put it in my shopping cart and go in the store because I know I need to grab it later. They might decide to start their, grocery shopping list when they're at home and then go into the store. So mobile essentially has become another tool for consumers when it comes to the shopping experience.
Well, Alicia, I want to dig in a little bit more to what you mentioned about Gen Z, because I know recently we were talking about on one of our Fast Five podcasts about how, search is actually happening now for that generation on Instagram. So the search for those new products is happening there. How does Meta kind of think about that, especially as we start to think about like personalizing that search a little bit more for the individuals that are scrolling through Instagram and discovering those new brands?
Yeah, so it's all, I feel like personalization is the buzzword, right? So you want to find things that you're attracted to and you want to discover. So I think, and I talked about this a little bit during Grocery Shop.
Yeah.
There's always that fine line of like, I want to see things that I'm interested in, but I also want a little bit of discovery in that.
Sure.
And so what we see happening with Gen Z is that they're discovering those new brands on Instagram, and they're trying them, right? And that's how they fall in love with brands. They try them, and that builds loyalty. And ultimately that builds purchase behavior, et cetera. So, when you think about Instagram and Meta in general, there's 3.6 billion people on our platform. All of the major brands are on Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to attract Gen Z, you're on our platform, right? And so, there's a few products, like one is called Digital Circular. So think back in the day, you go in the store, there's a bunch of newspaper at the front, you pick up the circular and it tells you what the sales are for the day, right? Fast forward in 2022, that's all digital. So now, and I can serve you a digital circular on your phone that shows you what's in the store that day for products that you want. Right. So let's say you're gluten-free, for example. Maybe your digital circular only has gluten-free products on there because they know that's what you want. And so they're going to serve you those products. So that's just an example of personalization and how, a platform like Instagram can, again, serve the products that you want and help enhance your shopping experience.
And Alicia, how is that happening? Is that a function of I'm entering in that information in my Instagram profile, or is that like things I'm searching for when I am, if I'm a Gen Z going to find like best, pizza restaurant or something like that, or best, salad dressing or something? Like, is that kind of how you're figuring that kind of stuff out and serving me up that personalized content? And how do the brands and grocers kind of, work with you on that to have success?
What we're seeing is, personalization is like table stakes. People want to be served discoveries based on their preferences, right? And so let's take, for example, shampoo. And, you like a certain shampoo, you have certain preferences, you like, so a shampoo company may say, okay, Meta, I want to target people that live in this area that love, shampoo that smells like flowers. Right. And our data shows that, indexes between the ages of 18 and 35-year-olds. So help us target those people in this area so that they can buy our shampoo. And so we basically, with our discovery platform, help people discover that brand. And so that's how, when people are on Instagram, how those discoveries and promotions are served up based on preferences about what you like. The other way that before social media that was used is loyalty. Grocers and CPG companies have always been using loyalty programs to really serve up preferences and promotions to really understand personalization. So they know who you are, they know what you buy. And based on that information, they might serve you a coupon and say, hey, we know that you buy this shampoo every week. How about you buy this new scent we have? Or how about, did you know we had a promotion coming up next month where it's 2 for 1? And so it's just an evolution of how you can take personalization to the next level and help serve preferences to what people want.
Well, and Alicia, I imagine that there's support that they're getting from doing this with Meta versus just going out and going at it alone. Explain a little bit about that and like how they've had success with you as they are like kind of leveraging the information that you have, my engagement on the platform, and then they're translating that into those offers or other successes that they've had.
Absolutely. And I'm going to do a shameless plug here for the Meta for Business page that is live and that some of our—
You should get that scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Shameless
yeah,
plug.
some of our viewers can go on. Because a lot of it, and I would say the new data that we're using, machine learning and helps to identify who you should be targeting, right? And so what we're finding is these companies already have a plethora of information about their guests. They just want to understand, how do we target them more? How do we think about discovery? So when you think about the creator economy, and we're doing a lot of work with creators where we match creators with brands to help, broaden audiences and things like that. When we think about that, it really is about, how can we be a one-stop shop for grocery companies and CPGs when it comes to really targeting the audiences that they want to, and the audiences that they don't even know that, might be future guests for them. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we really see our platform. It's all about discovery.
Yeah. I like how you said personalization is basically table stakes at this point, because I think Ann and I would agree. And oftentimes we think that word is a little even overused to a degree, but I want to ask you a different level question here now. The biggest aha for, I think, us coming out of the pandemic is really, there's kind of a dual nature now of how a physical grocery store, particularly paired with a mobile device, is actually a more convenient experience than, say, your strict e-commerce order, that you would just trigger from your mobile device while you're sitting at your couch. There's this convenient aspect that comes into play here, particularly coming out of the pandemic. So my first question is, why do you think that is? And then my second question is, what have you seen grocers and brands do to make these quote unquote mobily led shopping experiences more convenient to that end?
Yeah, so I would say twofold. The first is there needs to be a frictionless shopping experience, whether you're on your mobile device or whether you're in store. Consumers expect the same thing. Like, they want to start their journey on their phone potentially, and when they walk in the store, they want to make it easy. So a couple examples of that. Maybe you have a digital shopping list. You go in the store and that shopping list is already fulfilled at the front, so you're just adding to your basket, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're using your phone for product research. You go in the store, you're doing price checks. Or maybe your phone is serving up other products that are, that should be associated with your purchase. So if you get spaghetti sauce, maybe, your phone will say, hey, what about the noodles? Do you want that in your cart as well? And so I think, this idea that, I'm just going to shop online and get my order, or I'm just going to go in the store, doesn't exist anymore. It's more hybrid, right? And I want, as a consumer, I want the optionality to decide what I want. If I just want to pop in the store for just a casual visit to see what inspires me and go down the aisle, or if I just need to do a quick trip and just, purchase it on my phone and do it that way. The second one is really, I think, around some of the innovation that I'm seeing happening in store. So, and I think Target is a phenomenal example of this. You can go in the beauty aisle and you can see, if you scan a QR code, you can actually see demonstrations of people putting on the new color for fall and lipstick. You can actually, see new product information that comes to light. You can actually, look to see, how would this candle show up in my living room if I bought it today, all through your mobile device. And so again, if you see mobile as a tool, it just enhances the shopping experience once you go in the store. And I think we're going to continue to see, as time goes by, the evolution of that.
I want to press you on that a little bit, though, too, because I think I want to go back to something you said at the outset. You said, I think 70% of Gen Zers are using, the social media applications as a way to get informed about products, essentially, for lack of a better way to put it. So like, how are you at Meta then enabling a more convenient shopping experience at that moment? Like, what tools are you guys bringing to the table that, you know, enable that to happen? Like, for example, like grocery shop, we heard a lot of conversation about the CPGs using the social media platforms as a new way to go direct, right? They're having that direct relationship with the consumer at point of inspiration, and even trying to get them to purchase from a variety of retailers on the back end, where the retail decision is almost an afterthought, depending on where you want to fulfill your product from. How are you guys thinking about that dynamic, and what tools are you devising or creating to make that happen?
So that's a great question, Chris. If we go back to digital circular for a second and we say, okay, that digital circular ad is served on your phone and it says, hey, here's what's in store for the week. And you say, oh, I need that. You can essentially click on that digital circular. You can get it fulfilled from your local store, or it can get delivered to your home, right?
Okay.
We're also seeing use cases where messaging is becoming bigger and bigger. So let's say you know, are like, I don't know what I want for dinner tonight. I'm having 4 people over. We want Italian. You know, maybe, you know, on the other side of that DM, there's a grocer or someone at the store that's like, we have this on promotion. Would you like me to order it for you? It'll be ready for you at 5 p.m. for pickup. Right. And so these are all applications and tools that you can do through Instagram to help, you know, accelerate the shopping experience through social media. So that, again, as customers, you know, are thinking about this hybrid experience, they're on our platform, they want to also shop. They don't have to decide, you know, which to use. They can use them both at the same time.
So I want to make sure I heard that right. So you're saying you're seeing people use the platform, and then it's evolving to the point where the brands or the retailers are messaging directly with the consumer about the certain activities they want to take to help aid in the convenience aspect of how they want to shop.
Absolutely. And I would also say this, like the underpin of this is going back to discovery, right? So typically, if you're like me, you're going into the grocery store and I'm like, I need eggs, I need milk, and I need bread, and I'm going to hit the grocery store, right? But what we're seeing now is people are spending more time in the grocery store. Let's say you do have time. Yeah. And so maybe, you know, a grocer wants you to discover more products. They want you to go down more aisles. And so one of the things we're seeing, and I'll call out Albertsons for this, and HEB has been great at this, is how do you create an element of gamification in Instagram and Facebook where maybe, you know, for the holidays, there's a holiday scavenger hunt in the grocery store. Or maybe if your kids are with you and they want to, you know, see a virtual Santa Claus in the cake aisle. Or you see, you know, on Instagram, somebody making cookies and it says it's in aisle 5. You go in aisle 5, you scan a QR code, you can actually see the demonstration and it highlights all the products on the shelf that you should buy. So I think, you know, the connection here is how is technology really sort of enabling people to not only spend more time, but to discover more brands in the grocery store, whether you're in the store or whether you're at home.
Yeah, spend more time or less time, depending on how you want to engage, right?
Time.
That's the key
right.
here, and how you're describing this.
Well, right. Alicia, I want to make sure we spend some time. I mean, you've kind of teased some of the features that we're starting to see grocers and retailers using that are newer. But our audience loves a little prognostication if possible. So I'd love to spend some time talking about kind of the next front or the future ways of enhancing shopping experiences, whether that's through the mobile device or otherwise. What should we be paying attention to? What are you seeing at Meta right now that deserves a heads up?
Yeah, so I have to use this moment to talk about the metaverse, not just because I'm at Meta.
All right. Wow. Okay,
not just because I'm at Meta.
I didn't actually expect to go here, Ann. Honestly, I had no idea we were going to go here. So I got a ton of questions already. Okay.
My quest and put it on for this moment. So look, the metaverse and building the metaverse is going to take a while, and it's still in early days. But I think that, you know, it is going to transform shopping. And anybody that asks me, I'm always very bullish about the metaverse. Because I think, you know, just like the internet was a taboo thing 20, 30 years ago, I think we're going to be talking about the metaverse in the future as just a way that we live. And so when you think about what could happen, think maybe I put on my Quest and I can actually be in a store and see the planogram and put things in my cart and shop virtually and discover brands. And I'll do it from the comfort of my couch.
Right.
Like, doing it from a website is one thing, but actually being immersed in the experience of a grocery store, being able to see a planogram, and maybe that planogram knows that I only eat gluten-free products, so it highlights those gluten-free products for me.
Right.
Or maybe I buy all the stuff, it comes to my house and I'm like, I have no idea how to make this lasagna. So in the metaverse, I'm actually in a cooking class with the world-renowned chef, and they're helping, demonstrate how to make the lasagna and cut up the basil perfectly, right?
Right.
I know this
after you're taking the goggles off.
after
right?
I'm taking the goggles off, right? Exactly. But I
Or
know
maybe
this
not down the
skill.
road. Who
Or
knows?
maybe
I don't
not.
know.
Maybe
True.
I'm watching
Yeah.
him and then I'm like, I'll do
Maybe
it.
not. I'm just thinking.
Right?
I'm imagining
Yeah.
myself totally
Yeah.
immersed in
Yeah.
this and just
In the metaverse.
chopping
You
my
can kind of
basil.
still see though too, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
And so I know that feels aspirational and far off, but I think that's where we're headed. And I think that when you start thinking about what this could mean for the future of, shopping, of food, of healthy, of well-being, all those things, I get excited about that. So
Yeah.
I think the metaverse is going to be a big moment for grocery and food in general.
I know Anne loves the idea. Anne has talked on our weekly podcast a number of times about the idea of virtual reality grocery shopping, as has Dave Steck, our good buddy at Schnucks, who we interviewed at Grocery Shop too. So yeah, there seems like there's a there. My question though is like, what has to be true for that to happen, like across the industry? Like what do retailers need to know about to bring that eventuality to life? Because it sounds like there's some people that want that. My partner on the left here being one of them. Like what has to happen for that to take place?
So I think adoption is like the big thing, right? Like the hardware has to match.
Getting the hardware in
Like
hand.
we have to get, like
with the
consumers
eyes.
have to have the hardware. They have to, it has to be mass adoption for most people to say, okay, why does it make sense for me to shop in the metaverse when I can just do it from my phone or just go into a store? And so I think over time, especially as Gen Z, they become adults and they have their own homes and all those things, that shopping in the metaverse would become a thing. The other thing I would say, Chris, in terms of what has to happen is, people want to just jump to the metaverse. And I feel like there are steps before that. So
that's why I was asking. Yeah.
There's AR, VR, right? Yep. Maybe you transform your app. So there's a few grocers that during the pandemic, actually, they weren't utilizing their app pre-pandemic. They're like, look, we're going to, support all the customers that come in our store. E-commerce is just a thing. That completely changed. And we've seen grocers redo their app, make their app more user-friendly. They now have customer service. You can live chat, you can shop, they're serving recipes, all the things. To me, that is helping these grocers get ready for the future. AR, VR filters. So again, going in store, being able to look at a QR code or zoom in and do product research and all those things from your mobile device. So what excites me is I think there's elements that, grocers and brands can get ready for before, the metaverse becomes a thing to help them really accelerate the consumer experience.
Yeah, the other two things I think about as you're describing that too, like almost the necessary need to haves are, you got to have great item data, to especially get to that world where you're like, I'm seeing just the gluten-free products, that are served out to me. You have to have great item data, which is fundamental of omnichannel retailing in general, which you can't say that enough, right, Ann? And then the other piece too is, to me, like when you get to a real-time visual overlay of what a store looks like, then you've got to have probably computer vision in there at some point, understanding what's actually in that store, that's then translating it back to your metaverse experience in and of itself, which is another reason to, jump on the bandwagon of computer vision experimentation, potentially first and foremost, or AR, experimentation too, by way of a handheld device or something like that too, to give you at least a close approximation of that idea, before we even go down this road. So, which is important, because I think that hits on the points we talk about a lot on this show, Ann.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking like a true retailer.
Yeah, right, Alicia. Well, and I think the other part of that I'd add in is, and Alicia, I'm curious to hear your perspective, just how Meta's worked with retailers and brands individually, is how you're giving them kind of that inspiration, or I guess that push to make the updates to their app, to look into item data and computer vision. How are you, like, what's the relationship between you and those retailers? What does that look like? And how do you kind of help each other push the boundaries of kind of where we're going to go next, or what shopping experiences look like next?
Yeah, so a lot of the brands that I work with, the beauty of it is not only am I working with them on the digital marketing side, but they also sell the Oculus and Quest device in their store.
Okay.
So if you think Walmart and Target being two of those, so they have the hardware and they also have the experience. The other thing that we're doing is we're letting them experiment. So Target actually did a really cool Pride World this summer where they built it in the metaverse, where you could actually go in the metaverse, and it was like this cool playground, and they launched it. It was a great success. Walmart actually put this last holiday a QR code on all their packaging that basically allowed people to use their mobile device. They scanned it, and it was like a surprise when you get your packages for the holidays, especially for kids. So what we're starting to do is just serve up ideas like, hey, we know that, as we all get ready for the next evolution of shopping, it's a little bit ambiguous and can seem far-fetched. How do we help get your consumers excited and ready? And those are just two examples of where we're starting to say, hey, like, let's use the platform you have, the customers you have, our platform to really connect those dots. The other thing is around, discovery. So I go back to discovery commerce.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, when you're a buyer, you want your product on shelf, and you may still want to do that. But I think discovery commerce has also opened up so many options for new brands to get discovered. So Walmart may say, hey, for, the month of February, we're only going to highlight Black-owned brands. And if you, on our social media, we're going to have a Black-owned brand shop. And all the products in this shop are from these founders. They're creators. You can click on their Instagram, right? And again, that inspires people. It helps them feel closer to the brand. They understand where the brand came from, the owners, what they're about, all those things. And so those are some of the opportunities that, we're just pushing these brands to really think about as, I think customers' expectations around the products they buy, how they buy them, have evolved in the last few years.
Alicia, explain too a little bit more about like the creators' role that you're helping kind of bridge between the brands and the creators themselves. Because I think one of the other cool parts of discovery that we're seeing a lot of experimentation with is, what once was an affiliate link for a brand. Now it's like, how do you create a shop around that, or this whole basket around, things that are within your brand or your store, and the content creators that are kind of responsible, and explain how you kind of are bringing those two together.
Yeah. And, I would say, obviously, we see Instagram as the home for creators, right? And so this is the place where creators go to grow, to start their businesses, to start their brands. And so we see ourselves as kind of the intermediary between the creator and then the brand and the company. And so how do we bring those two together to really drive that impact and really identify the customers that they're both trying to target? So it starts there, and everything from doing a cool campaign, doing great videos, really elevating the brand strategy. It really is about, how do we, if a brand says to us, look, we want to get better at acknowledging what Gen Z needs, and here's what we're thinking about, what creators can help us do that. We attach them to our creators team, and we, sort of try to create a great marriage there. It could be a new product launch. So it could be all those things. I would say a lot of these brands already have a creator strategy. And so they've had creators, and influencers as part of their strategies for a while. We just see our platform as the platform that takes it to the next level.
For sure.
And so whether it's, we had live shopping where we might have a creator host a live shopping event. We've had a few of those. Target did a few of those. We had Petco do a few of those last year where we had a pet fashion show and a creator actually hosted it live. And it was phenomenal. And so it really is about experimenting, getting creative, having fun, and using our platform as a tool to do that.
I got to get Ginsburg in that pub fashion show.
You do,
man. That's 100%.
Ginsy definitely needs
she does.
A Halloween costume.
I know, she definitely does. I got to think about that.
Absolutely.
Get on that. You got to get on that.
I mean, think about that, the moment of excitement, right? Where, like back in the day, I remember working at, leading stores that when we announced a product drop, like the product would be sold out within 5 minutes because people would be outside. Now there's the option to do that virtually. You're like, hey, 5 o'clock on a Friday, we're dropping a new product with the creator. Everybody log in live, and you log in live, and maybe the first 100 people that pin the product can get it for free or get it, at a discounted price. So I think it's just an extension of what retailers have been experimenting with. And now that they know that a lot of their customers are on social, it really is about how do they double down in social commerce.
Right. Yeah. My big takeaway from that whole discussion too is like discovery commerce, it just adds more relevant stories and more relevant content for marketers to talk about. And that's inherently what, this is all about. All right. So normally we get to this point of the discussion, we usually like to ask, hey, if people found it interesting, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? I do want to do that, but I'm actually curious. Because you got me thinking about this. I actually want to know, like, say somebody reaches out to you, what does that first meeting look like? What types of topics do you generally cover? Like, how's that structured? What types of things you go into?
Yeah. So I'm laughing because I have a lot of people reach out to me and I usually get back to everybody, but I actually just had the privilege, I'm in Chicago, of going to Meta does small business roundtables every month, where we will go in a city and we will meet with small businesses and talk about how we can help drive their business. And it was a local bakery here that is phenomenal. And she just talked about, how Meta has helped her business. She had her grand opening. She had a line around the door. And she was like, had it not been for Meta, that her business might not have made it through the pandemic. And so what I did when I talked to her is we talked about, how we can help her business grow. Some of the, like, how is she targeting people that she knows like baking, but maybe she should target people that don't know they like baking yet. Or maybe she should target people that are within a certain age group within her neighborhood. And so we kind of talk through that. And so that's just an example of, like, when someone reaches out, we will try to find resources here at Meta to help them, whether they're a small business or a large business. So typically I ask them, what do they need? If they're a large company, there's typically a team that's already supporting them, and we'll work through that. If they're talking about things like holiday, like right now, everybody's, very much focused on holiday. We'll talk through their campaigns. So, I always tell people, reach out to me. If I can't help you, I will get you to the right person.
Excellent.
Awesome. And if people do want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to actually do that for those watching today or listening today?
Yes, so I'll give 3. First, Meta for Business is dropped and available. So go on metaforbusiness.com, and there is a section just for grocers. So it's a plethora of resources available for you. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, Alicia LeBeouf, or you can also follow me on Instagram at Alicia LeBeouf. It's just my name. So happy to connect with anyone and help them or point them in the right direction.
Are you going to be recommending any lasagna recipes, Alicia? Because I will definitely be following you.
Wish
That's
I
like
had
a staple. That's
lasagna.
a staple.
That's your follow.
I love.
That's your
I love
guilty
a good.
follow.
I love a good
lasagna?
lasagna or pasta
All right.
for the
If you
winter.
follow my Instagram, I only get served food ads, so because that's all I look at.
Ann does too, actually.
I know.
Ann does too. That's our first Instagram
recipe.
drop. I don't think we've had an Instagram drop in the history of the show.
Yeah.
I don't think we have. We had one mobile phone number, but that's the first Instagram drop, I think, in the history of the show.
I love
At
it.
Alicia LeBeouf. I don't have that many followers, but it's a public profile, and I will respond to anybody that reaches out to me for sure.
Very nice. All right. Well, that wraps us up. Thanks, Alicia. Thanks for sitting down with us. Appreciate it so much. Very special interview for me, as we talked about in the very outset. So appreciate you being here. And thanks to everyone that joined us today on LinkedIn and that tuned in to listen to the podcast if you're listening to this later on. And as always, on behalf of all of us here at Omni Talk, be careful out there.